轻松学汉语 Chinese made easy for kids 第11课请进 Now let's have a look at the new words 请 please 进 enter 坐 sit and to make a phrase 坐下 sit down 别 don't 说话 speak or talk. So we can link 别 and 说话 together to make don't speak, don't talk as 别说话举 raise 举手 raise one's hands 站 stand or get up 起来 and upward movement and then we can connect 站 and 起来 together to make one verb phrase 站起来 stand up 跟 follow 读 read so when you read following someone you can say 跟 someone 读 right we can insert the person between 跟 and 读 for example read after me read following me can be said as 跟我读 or if you want to say read after the teacher then you can say 跟老师读 Now let's have a look at the lesson. And this lesson has to do with all the instructions that we normally use in the class. 第一个请进 Please enter. 第二个请坐下 Please sit down. 第三个别说话 Don't talk. 第四个请举手 Please raise your hands. 第五个站起来 Stand up. 第六个跟我读 Read after me. Alright, now let's have a look at this speaking practice. First of all, have a look at the extra words in the word or vocabulary bank at the upper right corner. And let's just go over all of them one by one. So the first one, A, is 开门 open the door. B is the opposite. 关门 close the door. C, 开窗 open the window. And D, 关窗 close the window. And E, 开灯 turn on the light. And F, 关灯 turn off the light. And here you may notice that when we say open or turn on, in Chinese we use the same verb word. and that is 开, right? So when you say open the door, we use 开门. When you are turning on the light, you also say 开灯, right? We don't change to different verb, but we just use the same verb of 开 for both opening and turning on. Likewise, for closing and turning off, we also use the same verb. That is 关. So for close the door, we say 关门, and to turn off the light, we say 关灯. Now let's go through all of these verb phrases as instructions from example all the way down to number 11. So in the example, you can see the teacher says 请进请进。第一个，请坐下请坐下。第二个，别说话别说话。第三个，站起来站起来。第四个，跟我读跟我读。第五个，请举手请举手。第六，开门开门。第七，关门关门。第八，开窗开窗。第九，关窗关窗。第十，开灯开灯。第11，关灯关灯。Now let's have a look at this chant. We can listen, clap, and practice. 请进来，请坐下，大家安静，别说话。跟我读，跟我读，我们大家一起读。Now let's say that again. 请进来，请坐下，大家安静，别说话。跟我读，跟我读，我们大家一起读。Now let's have a look at this exercise. Read aloud and say the meaning of each phrase. Can you do that? 第一个，请进，请进。So the English meaning is, please come in. 第二个，请坐，请坐。What does it mean? So that means, please sit. 第三，请喝水，请喝水。Now we didn't see this in our lesson. Can you figure out what it means in English? Yes, that is, please drink water. 第四，请吃水果，请吃水果。And what does this mean? And this means, please eat fruits. Next, 第五，请举手，请举手。And it means, please raise your hand. 第六，请跟我读，请跟我读。It means, please read after me. 第七，别说话，别说话。And it means, don't talk. 第八，站起来，站起来。And it means, stand up. 第9，操场，操场。Do you still remember what it is? And this is the playground. 第10，体育馆，体育馆。And this means the indoor gym. 第11，图书馆，图书馆。And it means library. 12，礼堂，礼堂。And it means the hall. Excellent. Now let's move on the characters and the structures. And these are the characters that we learned in lesson 9 already under the 3 types of structures. So have a quick review of all of them. So the first structure has to do with the enclosure structure. So we can see there is a smaller section at the bottom, in the middle of the bottom of the bigger one, with the bigger one enclosing the small one. So the writing sequence is we start with the enclosing part, and then secondly, we complete the inside smaller one. Moving on to the second type of structure, and we can see there are left side and right side. And according to our writing sequence rule, we always start from the left side, and then we finish on the right-hand side. There could be some variations. There could be divisions on the right-hand side. And again, the writing sequence is we write the left-hand side structure first, and then we do the upper right corner second, and then we finish the last one at the bottom right. The third structure is up and down structure. Further variations of this structure is we can divide the upper part into 2 sections. And again, according to our left to right, up to down writing sequence, we start with the upper left section. And then the second one is the upper right section, and then we complete the bottom section. But sometimes the variation of this structure can be dividing the whole structure into 3 sections, with the top section, middle section, and the bottom section. And of course, the writing sequence is the top one as the first, the middle one as the second one, and the bottom as the last one. And also we learned these in chapter 10, and there's nothing brand new, but just with some variations, right? We still have got the left and right structure with some of the variations. We still have got the up and down structure with one of its variations. But with the first type of structure, in here we can see we move the little square, the enclosed little part, to the middle of the overall character. So the writing sequence in this way, in this structure, becomes we just do 3/4. I would say, 3/4 of the outside box, and then we fill in the contents in the middle, and then we close the box at the bottom. Now, no matter what characters you are encountering, as long as it is within the same structure like this, the writing sequence is always the same. And right now we move on to the characters and structures in lesson 11. And here you can see there are basically 4 types of, well, I would say 3 types of structures. The first one is still with a smaller section somewhere in the overall character, but we can move it around to different corners or sides, right? So the first one is it is in the middle of the bottom part of the whole character, but in the second one, in its variation, we can see this little square moves to the upper right corner. So the writing sequence for the first one is we complete the enclosing one, the bigger structure, and then we finalize that within the middle at the bottom. But with this one, because this little square moves to the upper part, So we will complete this part first, and then we will finish the whole character with the bigger part because it moves down, it touches the bottom, right? And then we still have the left and right structure in lesson 11. It looks like it happens quite often. And again, it has two variations as we learned before. Also, we will have got like one single structure, one single square for the overall character without any divisions, without any specific structure. All right, so now let's have a look at the examples from lesson 10's vocabularies, from lesson 10's character list to see which characters can be put down what types of structures, okay? So the first one is 请进来请坐下 the please character. And we can see it can be divided into two parts generally. It has the left side and right side, and on the right hand side, it can be further divided into the upper part and the bottom part. So the left side is a speech radical. And if you can remember, we used this radical in 说, all right? Can you speak Chinese? 你会说中文吗? Can you speak English? 你会说英语吗? 你会说英文吗? 说, okay? So whenever we have anything to do with the language or speech, we often use this type of radical. Moving to the right-hand side, the upper part is 横横竖横, right? So you probably need to practice a bit more of this little section. But I don't think you need a lot of time to practice and master the bottom one because it's just a moon character, right? It is a 月, and we are already very familiar with that one. Next one is 读, right? So this is read. And again, anything that has to do with our speech language, it normally has the speech radical. So this radical is exactly the same as the radical of 请. So we don't have to practice it again. Right? On the right hand side, we can see again, it can be divided into two sections with the top one being shi. It looks like a cross and half a lid, right? So you just go 横竖 and 横钩. And then the bottom one on the right side is a 头, if you're familiar with the body part, and that is the head character, right? 头, head. So if you're familiar with the bottom one, and probably don't need a lot of time practicing this part, but just need to practice the upper right corner little section, and then we can get the 读 character done. Next one is 站. So 站 can be divided into left and right parts, with the left hand side meaning standing, right? So it is a 立, standing. So the writing sequence obviously is from top to bottom and then left to right. So we go with 点横, right? Two dots, the left first and the right side next, and then a tick. Now on the right hand side, upper part is a 竖横, but make sure this vertical line goes all the way down until it can touch the box, okay? And then at the bottom on the right hand side, there is a 口, and we are super familiar with this writing sequence. All right, now let's move on to the next variation of the left and right structure. With the first example is 别, the don't radical, right? Don't. So on the left hand side, we can see there's a 竖钩, right? So this is actually its radical, 竖钩. It's a vertical knife. It's a vertical knife. Now, if for someone who has been watching some, TV series, telling about some historical stories, in China's history, and you may see in the emperor's palace, there are so many soldiers standing in two lines, and when they forbid someone to enter in the palace to see the emperor, there will be two-sided of knives crossing together, right? So that's a gesture of no, not doing anything. Okay, so we have got the vertical, like a standing knife on the right hand side. On the left hand side, we start with a kou at the upper left corner, and then underneath there is a strength. Okay, so we go with 横折钩 and then 勾撇，横折钩撇。Now, of course, the writing sequence is still from left to right. So we start with the upper left corner, the bottom left corner, and then the right hand side, vertical knife. The next one is 根, all right? So with the 根, its radical is on the left hand side. Now, if you are familiar with the left hand side radical, it is a foot radical. It means the foot. So when you are following someone, physically, it is to walk following behind someone. And if we divide that into two parts, on the left-hand side, upper left corner, there is a kou. And then after that, we've got a 竖横竖提. All right, so I'm just quickly write down the bottom left corner writing sequence. So it's like a 竖. Right, 横竖提. Right, so that's the writing sequence. So this part is a little bit like the upward, like a 上 character, but it has got an extra vertical line in here. Okay, and the right hand side writing sequence is we start with a box. So there's a box, and you should be familiar with the writing sequence of a box, but it is not like a traditional structure of a box. It has got its filling inside and one extended side. Okay, so let's fill in the vertical line in the middle. Now we close the box at the bottom, and then for the extended left hand side vertical line, we just go through until we touch the end, and there's a tick. Okay, and then the last two stroke is 撇 and a na. Now, whenever these two types of a stroke appear, we always start with the 撇, the left falling, and then we end up with the right falling stroke. Okay, next one is 举. So this one falls within the first type of structure, and obviously we know the writing sequence. Okay, so its top is 1, 2, 3, and then there is a horizontal line, left falling, right falling, 撇 and a na, and then we end up with 横竖 at the end. Now, next one is 进来的进, coming in, right? And we know that's one of the variations of the half enclosure structure. But because the little box has been moved to the upper part, and that's why we should start it first. So we go 横撇竖, right? And then we finalize the enclosing part. So 点横折折. Right? You probably need a little bit of practice of writing the left part of this. So this is a kind of a walking 之 bottom. Okay, so it's like a variation of character. So you need to practice that a little bit. The last one has to do with 坐. So this is a sitting character. And we can visualize two little persons sitting on the earth. Okay, so it has to do with two little persons coming together, and then they will sit. Now, if you can remember this radical, this character, so this is a mud or earth. Okay, so that's the place where the two little persons sit. So we just have the two little person coming in first, and then we create a seat for both of them to sit. Now make sure there probably need to redo that. we need to make sure that there's a leaning part for both of the little person to lean against. Okay, so make sure this vertical line goes right in the middle. Now make sure it is not too short, otherwise the two little person can't sit comfortably on the seat. Okay, so these are basically all of the characters we have to learn in lesson 11. And again, consider about your own strategy on the structures and also in different sections of one character. Have a look at which sections you are already familiar with, so you don't have to spend a lot of time practicing that section. But if there are any sections that you think you are not familiar with, that is the section you really needed to spend some more time on practicing. But again, I would not recommend our students to trace the characters over and over, like from the first stroke to the last one for lots of times without thinking about its structure. Right? You really need to think about its structure and do a bit of your own analysis. All right, now let's have a look at the exercises on this page. We already know the two characters, right? And the 别 and the 站, and then 别 has got a long knife or maybe standing or vertical knife as its radical on the right hand side, meaning don't. So you are forbidden to do something. Whereas for 站, its radical is on the left hand side and it means stand by itself. Right? Now moving on to the next exercise, let's say the meaning of each radical. So I'm gonna use a pen to circle out the radical and let you think about and say out the meaning of the radical. So for the character in number 1, 情, can you figure out the radical? All right, so the radical is this. Right. So basically it means the speech radical. I need to make it better. Because I'm writing with my cursor, sometimes it's hard to control. And then for 做, some people may argue, well, 做 may have got its radical, but it's up to you. Some people may say, oh, well, it has got a radical of a little person. That's fine. People radical, right? Or some people may say, well, it has got an earth or mud radical, right in the middle. That's also okay. And next one, 进, what is radical? Mostly, its radical is this, right? And it means the walking 之 radical, right? The next one, number 4, 起, getting up. So it has to do with the walking bottom radical. So we just go so number 5, 跟, and it has a radical of foot because when we follow someone, we walk. So it goes with a box. On the top, and 树, and 树, right? And then next one, number 6, low, that is building. And because it is a construction, and then traditionally we use wood. Okay, that's why it has got a wood radical on the left hand side. So 横, 竖, 撇,点. Next one, number 7, 馆. So remember we used 馆 in 图书馆, 餐馆, 体育馆. So these are normally the areas where there are some cultural things going on, being it for food cultures or literacy cultures or maybe athletic aspects. So when we write that, we have 撇 横钩 and then 竖提. Right? So that has to do with food, all right? Cultural food radical. And number 8, 提. It has the left-hand side half person or maybe standing person radical, because it has to do with body. And the last one, 操. So 操 means exercising or hand-related activities. Right? So we've got 横, 竖钩, and 提. And these are the radicals that we can identify from these characters. And also we need to make sure that we can say out the meaning of each one of these radicals. And next one, the new characters will be 工, right, for work, and also 土 for soil, mud or earth. And we learned both of them in the previous characters. All right, so now it's up to you to write down the characters. And I'm going to just read out these characters, and also probably I'll make a phrase for each one, but it is up to you to write down the characters in your own textbook. 第一个, 请 meaning please. So the phrase we can use is 请坐下, 请举手, 请站起来, 请开门. And number 2 is 坐, sit. So the phrase could be 坐下, 请坐下. Number 3 is 站, stand. So the verb phrase could be 站起来, 请站起来, 别站起来. Number 4 is 手 meaning hand. So the phrase could be 举手, raise your hand. Number 5, 头 head. So that's one of the body part. Number 6, 第六个 耳 ear. That's another body part you already learned. All right, next one. Read aloud the sentences, then say the meaning of each sentence. So the slashes here you can see in the sentences are not meant to divide these sentences into different parts. They're actually telling you the meaning groups. Okay, so make sure you just give a little small, very short period of time of pause between each one of these. So number 1, 哥哥会说汉语和英语。哥哥会说汉语和英语。第2，我有3个美国同学。我有3个美国同学。第3，妹妹不喜欢学数学。妹妹不喜欢学数学。第4，弟弟的脸圆圆的。弟弟的脸圆圆的。And I hope you can still remember what these means. So the sentence number 4 means younger brother's face is round. 第5，今天3月6号，星期天。今天3月6号，星期天。Now let's have a look at the small quiz. Read aloud and say the meaning of each sentence. 第一，请进，请坐下。Yes, it means please come in, please sit down. 2. 请喝水，请吃苹果。And that means please drink water, please eat apple. 第3，你说，你别说。You say, you don't say. 第4，站起来 stand up. 第5，请举手 please raise hand. 第6，跟我读 read after me. And that's the end of lesson 11. Thank you everyone and see you next time. 谢谢，再见。